Mic check, mic check. 1, 2. Welcome to the Second Half Podcast. We are back with another episode. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, follow us on Instagram and Twitter and all social media. We are on every platform available. So definitely check in. This episode of the Second Half, I'm excited to have my guy, Jeremy Smith, on. Appreciate you jumping on with me, my guy.
For sure. No problem, man.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's start it off, man. Like, where did the journey begin? Where are you from?
Yeah, originally from Southern California, small city called Chino Hills. Not that small anymore since we got two top 3 draft picks.
You got a couple. You got a couple.
Yeah, I got a couple draft picks in the league right now. You know, kind of put our city on the map a little bit because no one really knew where we were from before.
Right.
So. Called the Inland Empire.
Empire. Never gonna not let
LA.
me know the
I gotta throw it in there.
Listen,
I gotta throw it in there. That's the IE's in there. You know, people call it the little brother to LA, but
right.
I feel like we got more dudes in the league right now, so I'm feeling good about our status. That's all I'm saying.
All right. I'm not mad at that. It's a lot of conversation there with that. You know, I love quality over quantity, but hey, it is what it is. We got a few. You know, it's like the Chicago Lakers right now, but we ain't gonna talk too much about that.
I mean, you guys got legends. I'm not even gonna argue with that. I'm not gonna argue with it. Ain't much I can say. Chicago holds it down.
Yeah, man, for sure. Well, obviously, being out in the IE, what was that family dynamic for you growing up? As it related to sports and just kind of the environment that you were around.
Yeah, growing up, my whole family pretty much played sports. I'm one of 3, so I'm the youngest. I got an older brother and an older sister. They both played basketball. So it was kind of just like what we did. My pops played basketball, played football. Uncle was big in sports. He went to the NFL. So, I mean, like the dynamic of sports was just big in our family. And yeah, I mean, it started young for me. I think started playing around 6 or 7, and then started playing for real around 10. Like got on my first travel ball team. I didn't really know what it meant. Some dude, I was in the gym. He came up to me and was like, "You ready to play some real basketball?" I was like, "Yeah, whatever." I thought I was playing real basketball, but all right.
Right.
But nah, that started off like travel ball and playing competitively. Like playing with those ranked teams and playing against like the better competition. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
So they really just
that was a big part for me.
Nice. So that one travel ball, they really just rolled the ball out and said, "Hey, get in the gauntlet, we're gonna figure it out." But luckily, you had the support system. It sounded like you had your other older brother and your older sister, but you had uncles that just kind of helped develop you. Like, what was that dynamic like for you? Knowing that they played at the highest levels. What was that like for you, just kind of being the youngest out of the group?
I mean, it was interesting. My pops used to get us up at like 5:30 in the morning to go work out, to train. And like, we didn't want to get up. He'd be like, "Yeah, you don't want it. Never mind. I'm going to the gym. Y'all just stay here, sleep. Go ahead. Do your thing."
Why do they do that?
So, it used to be the worst. I'm like, "Man, do you know what time it is?" Like, but it would be me and my brother getting up at 5:30, just going to the LA Fitness, and we'd be in the gym by ourselves, putting in work. We could never really play one-on-one because we fight. So like that competitive nature, it kind of helped out. Cause it was interesting coming from the IE, like we wasn't always known or anything like that. So I always played in LA.
Okay.
I always had to go out to LA to play on like every travel team I pretty much played with until high school.
Yeah.
So like just that competitive nature and competition, playing with my brother, kind of prepared me to go play, with everyone else.
Nice.
So, in that competition.
Nice. Okay. So then, obviously basketball was really the focal point. Were there any other sports that they had you kind of thrown into or was it really
young I was playing baseball,
okay.
And I was playing soccer.
Okay.
I was actually about to start playing competitively, like for soccer. I was about to get on a travel team with that.
Okay.
And my pops was like, "You got to pick one. Like, I can't be taking you everywhere."
Right.
He was like, "I'm gonna leave it up to you.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and pick what sport you want to play."
Right.
I ended up playing basketball. and he was hyped. He was like, man, I didn't want to push you either way, but
Yeah.
it was gonna be tough if you wanted to play soccer. And but I played soccer and I stuck with it. My pops wouldn't let me play football just because he got hurt.
Okay.
My uncle got hurt, so like just from the family dynamic, it was like, yeah, until your body developed, which it didn't until college.
Right.
So at that point, I was like, ain't no point to pick up a different sport. So I always wanted to play football, but they wouldn't let me. So I stuck with basketball.
Nice. It seems like they definitely instilled a bit of discipline. Obviously, waking you up at 5 a.m. to get after something,
Ridiculous.
And I know, and just kind of created that space. But then additionally, also open your eyes up to other opportunities, which is always great. And I think that you're definitely something we'll kind of get into a little bit later on in the conversation. But those are, I love to just point out those keys like early on as you're growing up, that's something that still kind of continues on in this journey that we have. It's called life. So continuing on, man, when was it, obviously you said, Dad, I'm playing basketball. When was it that you like truly fell in love with the game though?
I really don't know when I truly fell in love with the game. Like, I think that's a hard question because it was something I always had to do. Yeah. Like, I'd say in junior high, at that age, basketball became a business. Like, and
so you got that early.
It got like you got open, like it opened my eyes to the corrupt side of the game. Like, nah, for real. Like it was like if you play well, we had a van of gear coming the next day. Yep. Like, you know what I mean? Yep. Like I was playing on the top Nike team, I was playing on the Adidas team. So when we played well, it was like the shipments was coming in. So I quickly realized you produce and you get a lot.
Yeah.
Yep. You know what I mean? Like we was going to tournaments, people was getting, I mean, we good, but people was getting cash, type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like we was getting paid for it. So at that age, I was like, oh, like you really got to play. And you started feeling the pressures from everywhere else. Right. Like, nah, you got to, you know what I mean? You got to perform. Like if I'm going to this tournament, it was free for me. It was free for my pops. It was free for, you know what I mean? So now you exposing people to different like lifestyles.
Absolutely.
And a lot of my teammates, like being from the LA part, like, you know, I'm playing with everybody from the hood. So it's like you taking them out the hood and you getting into this, like we going to Florida, we going to other, like, you know what I mean? And we staying at the best hotels and we flying nice and we eating food's free. Don't even worry about it. Right. Like we was getting food at practice in junior high. You know what I mean? Like, oh, y'all hungry? Let's go to this restaurant after practice.
Yep.
And so it was just exposing me to a lot. So I didn't really feel like it was an option not to play at some point.
Right.
And I don't think, for me personally, I don't think I really knew I fell in love with it until the days when I couldn't play it.
Right.
And that's when it was like,
after
okay,
effect it came.
Like I actually do love this game because I can't play this game. So
right.
I would say that's the big part.
I got you. Now, that's something that's unique that you don't really hear of, like early on catching it in the business of sports. And let's be real, we know everything that's going on, especially now that we've been removed. It's been happening since before time, you know what I mean? But you understand it too, because, some families who are well off, they see bright lights and they're like, I got to play with this team. Or, the ones that, come from the hood and, hey, I got to eat, I got to survive, I got to figure this thing out. So, we got to go out and go do what we got to do. We got to win games because I need shoes. And not only my shoes are going to me, but these going to my brother or my sister. Everybody. And the hood gets taken care of based off of your production, your team's production. So I get it. And I think that's a valuable learning that I'm hearing from you that I love, because that's the real that I don't think not everybody gets to tap into. No, that's mind opening that we having that conversation, So then obviously you're playing with the best of the best. When did you know that, that you had game, like that you could compete with, everyone out there?
I knew in junior high. My problem, my problem was consistency, like straight up. Like I'd have the best game in the world and then do nothing the next game, and people would be like, "What is wrong with this dude?" Like, like I don't know if you heard. So we had like the Adidas Double Pump Camp back in Cali. So I'm playing in that camp, killing it. All the ABC dudes come back. You know, they come a couple days late, killing them. I get to the championship game and people are like, "Yo, who is this kid?" Because like, who is he? We in a little championship all-star game, or whatever, and disappear.
Wow.
Like, like ain't doing nothing. Like ain't scoring, ain't doing. I'm just out there. You know what I mean? And people are like, "What happened?"
Right.
To, like we put him in the all-star game and disappeared, but and it was continuous. It was consistent. Like I was consistently inconsistent. Right.
I got you.
And so I mean, like I always say, I was the coldest practice player you ever seen, or I may only have 8, but it's the coldest.
It's the coldest 8 you're gonna get,
too. Like,
a few bang outs, couple lobs, couple jumpers.
Like, like it was all of that. But like, I mean, I think the problem was I'd have call it 14, 16. And then I go do the same thing against the weakest team out there. And people, well, why aren't you destroying them and then playing like you play over here? So
I got you.
I mean, I knew I could hoop. I say I knew I could hoop young, but it was just what turned it on, what turned it off. I ain't really, at this age, I understand it now, the mental side of the game of like how to turn it on, how to go hard, how to get buckets, all that kind of stuff. Growing up as a kid, it ain't clicked.
It didn't click.
It didn't click.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to go next, of just like understanding that mental aspect, which you definitely just hit on it, because that's something that I think a lot of these kids now growing up, they're missing, or they're still trying to figure out themselves, is the mental aspect of the game, how to put it together on the floor, how to deal with pressures, how to not only just the pressure on the court, but also the pressure off the court, at home, in the hood, walking across, these lines of community members, shall I say, the gangs, all of those different things you have to deal with, that unfortunately these kids have to deal with at such a young age. But, that's just kind of the space that we've all been in for a while. So good to know you was that dude, the best practice player in the world. So then obviously recruiting comes a big part of that. And, Cali, i.e., obviously you guys have a plethora of schools that I'm sure. What was that like for you?
Yeah. The other part of my game, like I didn't get along with my high school coach. So it was, I think we were 6 or 7 games into the season. He told me I'll never start another game.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, sheesh. But he'd do things where I wouldn't start, but I play 95% of the game. Because when we played the best team, I'm running point and I'm playing all game.
Right.
We played the worst team, I was getting in 2 minutes left in the game. So it was that mental aspect that was killing me too from the high school portion. Like, I remember it was after practice and he gave us a whole speech, and then he was like, some of you guys are getting recruited, but I can't trust in what you're doing, so we're not going to talk about it and this, that, and the other. And then, he dismisses us and everything. He's like, Jeremy, can you stay behind? I was like, yeah, like, what's up, coach? He was like, I was talking about you. I had a school call me for you yesterday, but I'm not going to call them back because I have nothing good to say about you. I was like, sheesh. Like, nothing?
Like, there's not one
like, you ain't got
you can
nothing. So, that was part of it. I was still playing travel ball, so I was getting some looks from that side.
Okay.
Going into my senior year, I didn't really have any, guarantees. So I was going into the summer, and I had a couple big tournaments, like all the Vegas tournaments like that. So I had a couple D1s coming to look at me. I ended up getting mono, and I had the rare case of mono, which like my throat expanded. Like it was basically like when I got to the hospital, they was like, if you would have waited another hour, you would have died.
Oh wow!
Like because your throat was closing. Yeah. So like I was in the hospital for like 2-3 weeks. I didn't eat for like 2-3 weeks. So I mean, I was going from windmilling under the legs. When I came back, I could barely dunk.
Oh wow!
And like that athleticism was so much of a big part of my game.
Yeah.
And I probably came back about a month before I was supposed to go to the tournament.
Okay.
And I'm in practice, and I wasn't even like clear to play yet, but I'm in practice, and we doing a 3-man weave, and it's like, this little bang outs, like I was barely getting up there,
Yeah.
and people was looking at me like, "Stop playing, man! Like, come on, like, what you like? Stop playing." And I laughed it off, but in my head, I was like, I really can't jump no more. Like,
yeah.
like I was so weak from being in the hospital and being sick.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up, my parents ain't let me go to the tournament. So it was like, you can't play.
Right.
Like, so that threw off some D1s that I had, looking at me. But it was like mid-major, low level. I had like Santa Barbara, some of the UC schools like that. And there's a school Northern California, D2, called Sonoma State. Okay. So by the time I like got back and I was able to play, I was playing in one of the summer leagues, and they came down to see me. And it's funny, like my brother's always getting on me, but I'm playing in the game. I have 2 points the whole first half, and my brother's like, "You're not getting this guy. Like, you're done. Like, your career's up. You going to a JUCO? Like, he's killing me on the sideline. Right. You might as well go to a JUCO. Right. Like, you can try to walk on somewhere." I come back second half, going back to that inconsistency at 24 in the second half.
Just showed up. You figured it out.
I showed up second, figured it out, showed up, like, started cooking, and it was like, oh yeah, we good. Like, I'm just happy they stayed for both halves.
Right.
That first one
exactly.
So I ended up going there because I was really like the only offer I had left on the table.
Okay.
So I had to make that decision. But yeah, it was an interesting process. Like, all my boys had signed. I was the last one. I was just trying to get anything I had.
Yep.
They offered it. I took it. So it was that process for me. I think the interesting and hard part was just like everyone I was playing with was, locked in they D1.
Right.
They was good.
Yep.
Like, we had 3 of our 4 starters in high school signed D1 before the senior year. And I was just the last one. So, I mean, I was happy to just get a scholarship, but it wasn't necessarily where I felt I should have.
Of course. Yeah, no. If for those that know and have seen your inconsistent game, when it's on, you're going to get the biz. You know what I mean? But I think that, one is having that ear in the crowd does something. It just gives you that what you need, and saying, you grow up, whether it's your brother, your cousin. I'm the only child, but I had cousins who older, and they did the same thing. It was like, hey, dude, you trash right now. Like, you got 2 rebounds, got 10 points, but you ain't. It's looking real Luke right now. So you need to get your engine going, and next thing you know, box score at the end of the game, you got 32 and 15, or 32 and 10 or something like that, So that's one thing I always love, just having that support system that you just mentioned, which obviously got you going to obviously make sure that the school was paid for, which is great. But like you said, you were kind of one of those ones that happened to be a little bit, not to say a late bloomer, just the opportunity came a little bit later and a little different than your peers and the people who you play with.
Yeah, I think that was, it came, so I was happy. I think going back to your mental aspect, like my senior year, I felt like I was playing the best basketball of my life.
Yep.
Like, my bounce had came in on a different level.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunate, but I ended up getting sick. And that, like, mental element was like, I really didn't know if I'd be the player I was. I could shoot, but my game came from, like, I don't feel like someone could stay in front of me. And the bounce I had at that point was like, you was also not jumping with me.
You can't meet me at the rim, so I'll take you out with me.
once I get in the key, it was like you couldn't meet me up
Right,
there. So,
right.
and then taking that element from the game, it was almost like starting from scratch again.
Yeah, yeah,
So, I mean, I was happy to get that scholarship, but
yeah.
it's. I mean, basketball for everybody who plays an up and down mental
It
game.
really is. And that's the majority of it right there. It's like, yeah, you have the physical aspect of it because some people are just God gifted talented. You had a 40-inch vertical versus me. I might have had a 38. You know what I mean? Like, it's a difference. You know what I'm saying? And the speed is there. I'm a big heavy body, so I can, bang and with strong players, but I'm sure out on the wing, like that aspect of it is one thing. But that mental piece, if you are not strong there, if you got coaches yelling at you and you had a different perspective because you and your coach didn't even get along. So
Nah, not at all.
So with y'all not getting along, you got to deal with that headache. Then you got the family dynamic because they want to see you at your best. And then you got your teammates is like, dude, why you not playing like you need to be playing? So you definitely had to overcome quite a bit there, which that's a part of life, and that's something that you just have to. And these are the cards that you were dealt, and you made the best of it, for sure.
Yeah.
So it continues on, right? Obviously, it doesn't stop there. You finish high school. Now you're off to the races in college. What was that like in that transition from high school to the collegiate game?
It was. I mean, I went to 3 different schools after high school.
Yep.
So I mean, going to Sonoma State was cool. The tough part was in which it didn't make sense to me at the time. In high school, I was always good at math. So in high school, I skipped math classes because I tested out of them. But when I got to college, they were like, "You're missing 3 units." And I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Well, when they looked at my transcripts, they're like, you didn't take like these math classes." I was like, "Well, I tested out of it. So what do you mean?"
Right.
Because I was missing those units, the NCAA wouldn't let me be eligible to play my freshman year. So I had to redshirt.
Wow.
So, and which was, I mean, it was a D2, but I mean, for, the people that hoop know, like the biggest difference is big man, like in the D2 game. Like the guards are still, for the most part, can go.
Yep.
And my freshman year, I ain't even gonna lie, we had 2 wings that I was like, "You got it." Like you got it. Like one of them lefty, nasty jumper bounce. I was like, "Yeah, I'm not beating you out as a." I mean,
as a freshman coming in.
I thought I was nice, but I also knew you junior, senior, coach already rock with you, and you nice. Like not getting it. Right. So I wasn't really tripping when they said I got a red shirt. So it was a good year. Like I think I was $170 at the time. Like I got to lift, I got to get in shape, I got to recover still from my sickness because I ain't have it. So it was good to redshirt in that sense. And then my second year I came out, I was playing. I was getting, I don't know what kind of coaches I was getting, but I was rocking out for the first probably 6-7 games. Like, you're a D2, you was getting set up to play the D1s. Like, we was playing Berkeley.
Of course.
We played USF. We played a couple people, and I was holding my own. I was good. I was like, "Oh yeah, we good money."
Right.
And then we got to the season, like our league, and he started sitting me. Like, it was inconsistently getting sat. So I'm like, "Dang, we back here." Like, I was player of the week, and then I ain't play.
Right.
I was like, that don't even make sense. Like, so going through that, and at the end of that year, I was like, man, and I had only had a 75% scholarship. So I was like, I'm not working out crazy, and then dealing with this coach for not getting the full scholarship.
Getting the full, yep.
So I was
again, the business coming back into play.
Yeah, the business coming back in. I was like, yeah, I'm out. I'm going to a JUCO. Like, I ain't say nothing. Yeah. Like, I dipped for the summer. My teammates kind of knew because they just knew I wasn't feeling the situation. The thing that kind of made me leave, I was talking with my coach. We were talking about like, yeah, next year you're going to be the starter. We're going to do this, that, and the other, right? Yep. they had a dude come in, D1 kickback, and
Okay.
come in just work out with us, just open gym. He was all right, but I was like, you ain't about to come in our house. Like, we was going back and forth.
Right.
And then the next day, we go on a train, lift, whatever. And my coach was like, yeah, so when you come off the bench and da-da-da-da-da, and he kind of slipped it in the sentence. And I was just like, come off the bench. What you mean, come off the bench? Like, like,
Right. That's not.
nah, bro. Like, so he started playing them games. And so, yeah, when I left for the summer, my boy that I went to high school with, he ended up leaving his D1 and went to a JUCO.
Right.
And we was just hooping. He was like, yo, just come down to the open run with me. Like, we ain't got to talk about nothing. Just come see what it's hitting for. Went down there. Like, my JUCO was full of dogs. Like, won't lie to you. Like, we had everything you needed. So, I mean, after that, I came down there. And I visited one other JUCO, and that was a mistake because it was in Northern California. I went down there, do a little open gym. He was actually boys with my coach that I didn't know. So he called my coach like, yo, just trying to get some info on your player. Like, what kind of, player is he? And my coach called me like, what are you going to a JUCO for? I was like, yeah, coach, my dad had wanted me to.
The excuse like, man, I got to get up out of here. Let me see how I can finesse this.
We had that talk, and I mean, my pops was just like, don't even worry about it. Let me take care of it. Just tell them, like, I had you, go to the JUCO, which my pops did find a JUCO. So it wasn't really, like, lying about it. But, I ended up going back to Southern California, playing with my high school teammate. That was probably one of the best experiences. Like, we went 35-1.
Wow.
Like, we was not losing. Like, but we had our starting five was I was the only D2 kickback, right? Like, we had dudes coming back. I don't even know how we all ended up at that school, but we was killing. So it was a great experience. Going back to the recruiting aspect, essentially I had to get recruited out.
Yeah.
I made the mistake. I told my coach, I ain't want to go to no school outside of Cali. Like, I was like, I ain't leaving Cali, not doing it, like, period. I mean, I had, like, Stony Brook looking at me.
Okay.
They ended up, actually, I think they went to the tournament the year I was in college, too, and I was like, dang, I should have been there.
Right.
I had, like, them looking at me, Loyola, Marymount, Chicago.
Okay.
Sac State. It was like low, D1s or whatever. But I was like, I'm not leaving. Like, so we don't even need to have that convo.
Right.
What I didn't know is because I redshirted, hooped, and then this was my third year, I had to have 60% of my degree done to go to a Cali school. And since I was at a JUCO, I couldn't get units towards my major.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I was behind. Just from a So, yeah. So, I mean, like,
is that just a Cali rule, or is that?
It was a Cali rule. So when I was looking at Cali schools, it was a problem. And I was good, but, I wasn't the big name where they was going to figure out how to figure some things out. So it was what it was. I had the school, West Georgia, looking at me at the beginning of the year, and my coach was like, you have two options. You can go to Northern Arizona, which I was like, cool, it's D1, whatever. He was like, if you want to go to a D1, I get you a D1. Like, know the coach. He'll make it, like, we'll get you there. Like, get whatever. He was like, or you got the school, West Georgia. He was like, my recommendation is go where you're wanted. Like, I can get you a D1, but it'll be a favor. And you're going to have to work your way up. Or you can go to the D2, go start, get a full scholarship, get your degree, and be good. And so that's how I ended up going to a random school, West Georgia. I should have known. My coach called them and was like, yo, I got Jeremy Smith. Like, we're interested. He was like, you still got that scholarship? He was like, yeah. Tell him we good. He can sign tomorrow. I was like, you too hyped. Like, you're too excited.
Yeah.
Like,
sometimes some coaches, that pushes you away of just like dude,
Like,
like
it's what y'all looking like right
exactly,
now.
like y'all must be trash. Like,
When I did the research, there was a good D2.
yep.
What I didn't know, they switched like so. The coach I talked to ended up taking over the head coaching job. Like, and when they was winning, it was the coach before him.
Okay.
So he was the assistant coach.
Got you.
And it was a different coach that they was winning all the games with. It was a good experience. You know, I can't hold it. Like,
yep.
It was a good experience from culture side.
Yep.
Like, I grew up in Cali. Now I'm in, the country of Georgia.
Yeah.
And it was different.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
You could tell it was still behind. Like, it was still, racial tension and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
But it was just a good experience. And at the end of the day, I got a scholarship and got to hoop. And I got to play. So
exactly.
I mean,
and that's what you wanted to do.
I'm not mad.
Yeah. That's what I love is like we all have a different journey in this game, and for you got to see 3 different dynamics. One being a JUCO, seeing a Division II, having opportunities at the elite level, but then out of high school, but then that continued on, and you found yourself out in West Georgia to make that work. And I think there's something to be said about that. It's just the resiliency there. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't give up, even with setbacks, illnesses, grades, whatever it is, not grades, but just credits. and the dynamic of California that's different from a lot of other places. But, that just really shows that resiliency. And so for you, was that it for you? Did you have aspirations to play after, or what did that look like for you?
I definitely wanted to play after. Like any hooper, you think you're going to the league no matter what. Like, you just need your break. Like, I just need to get with the right player. You know what I mean? Like, right coach, right situation. I'm gonna get to the league. So I was trying to. I was trying to go overseas.
Okay.
I was doing a couple of different workouts with like agents and different things, and in my head, I thought I was, going overseas and all that. When I graduated, my brother was like, "Yo, you don't know what you're doing with your life. I already went through this journey," because he thought he was going to go to the league too.
Right.
And he was like, "Yo, come move with me in New York."
Okay.
And I was like, "Cool, New York basketball still where it's at. Like, I can, get into some of those leagues or do whatever." And so I moved out there. And the worst part of it was, and I'm from Cali, so seeing movies of New York, you thinking Manhattan and you got trees in movies, you got everything in movies. And I was like, "Where you live?" He was like, "It's technically Manhattan." I was like, "All right, like, bet." We pull up. I was like, "Man, you in Harlem, bro." Like, don't ever lie to me like that.
You said we uptown, baby.
We uptown. I was like, but it was, it was a good experience. It's definitely the grind in New York. I got to play in all the summer leagues. Nice. I was playing in Pro City.
Okay.
Playing at the Rucker, West Fourth. Only place I didn't get to play is Dykeman, which I regret. I wish I would have got to play at Dykeman.
Nice.
But yeah, I was playing in all those leagues. And
nice.
During that, I ended up flying back to Cali to go to it was called the D League, but the G League tryout.
Okay.
And I think it was that point that kind of opened my eyes to the situation of I ain't going to the league, and I don't know what overseas was going to be hitting for. So I'm at the tryout, doing my thing, playing. It was actually probably one of my best performances. Like, I was playing point guard, so 6'4", 6'5" point guard. We good. I'm rocking.
And that wasn't the norm even back then. Like, still being like 6, like most guards at that time were just 6'1", 5'10", 6'1", 6'2". At best at the time 6'3", and now is the evolution of 6'5" and up guards.
I felt like I was good. I was like, "Oh yeah, we good money." But like sitting back looking at it, and I really realized it at the time. I was like, as people started getting cut, I was just like, "Well, you dwindling down to." I'm like, there's 10 point guards left. everyone had the same skill set.
Yep.
And like they made the next cuts, and the coach ain't called my name. And I was like, bro, we just had a talk. You said I'm good.
Right.
He was like, oh, shoot. Like, looked at the paper, and he was like, hold on, be right back. And he came back, he kept me and cut somebody else. And I was like, that's when I started seeing the politics of the game. I was like, oh, I had nothing to do with how I was performing. Like, you knew I was, you know what I mean, good. And then, so I got down, I think it was like 40 of us left. So, 14, whatever.
Yep.
And we were supposed to come back the next day for like top 20. And coach was like, don't even worry about it. Like, you good money. Like, you be back. And they ain't coming back.
Really?
And I was just like,
politics,
I was talking to some people, and they was just like, you ain't got the right agent. Like they got favors and this and that. And I was like, I mean, it is what it is. But I think what opened my eyes, I knew everybody in Cali. Like all the people, like the last 20 hours, I've been playing with y'all for forever,
years,
right?
Yeah.
What opened my eyes was the fact that I was playing in New York at the same time.
Yep.
And I was like, sheesh, like there's another 200 hoopers in New York that can go.
Yep.
Like go.
Yep.
There's another 200 in Chicago that can go.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like Atlanta got the hoopers because I just moved from Atlanta.
Yep, you just came from out there.
So I started thinking about it. I'm like, I can hoop, but like now we're talking about like there's people. It opened my eyes to like I never really thought about it that way. Like at this point, I'm competing with all these people for jobs.
You were
Growing up was like
I'm in Cali, like, so I got the state. That's nothing.
Yeah, like I mean. Growing up, travel, all that, you play against people in different states, but it was like you playing against Chicago, you playing for bragging rights.
Yeah.
Like, you're not really, I understood it was a business from some aspect, but it wasn't like, if we lose, I don't have a job.
Right.
Like, at this part after college, it was like, if I don't cook you, I don't eat. Or, like, well, you got another player in wherever cooking right now. So right. I'm like, you're not even dealing with the person in front of you.
Right.
You really competing like there's only so many jobs in the league. Yep. There's only so many jobs in the real overseas. Because, everybody go overseas, but
there's some smaller leagues and
a difference. Yeah. So in the top leagues, there's only so many spots. So you can only have so many Americans.
Yep.
So when you start really thinking about it and breaking it down, that's when I knew it was tough.
Yeah.
And my brother helped me with that, kind of breaking that piece down.
Yeah.
And like it was a tough part.
Yeah.
It was tough to accept.
Yeah. No, that's one. I mean, your brother being an advocate and being able to pull you out there to New York and kind of show you a little bit of that and open your eyes, and that's what it's about. I think that's when you thinking about the game of what it does for you. It really does open your eyes to new avenues and opportunities, and relationships and things of that nature. That you to this day, like basketball, I had the most relationships in because of the game that we played. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we had that connection. But I know, just like you said, I know I can call anybody up that I know in New York and say, hey, let's go over here to this league and understand the culture and understand the game that they play in and what it means of playing at, Dykeman and EBC at the time and Rutgers and, all of that. That we grew up with playing. So that's awesome that you were able to just kind of use basketball as that tool to help navigate and see other places, even post college. And, the other side is that you just had family right there with you to kind of help you along the journey, who honestly just was that for you. And so I guess my question now is, did you have other mentors? Obviously, it sounds like your brother was kind of like that piece, necessarily just kind of help you now, but did you have other mentors a part of the process in the journey?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. I mean, me and my brother growing up, like when we were in high school, we didn't rock with each other. Like we was not cool. I mean, we was just both like young, hot-headed, whatever.
Right.
But we got good like probably when I went to college.
Okay.
So we started being cool. Yeah, a little separation was good for us. And then, so probably my junior year is when we really started like talking a lot more.
Gotcha.
And that's when he was like, come out and kind of help me from there.
Yep.
But other than that, nah, it was, I mean, like, you know, my pops definitely played a role. You know, he was always there, but I wouldn't necessarily say I had more mentors. It was just really just hooping. Like,
Gotcha.
I was always hooping.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
so it wasn't even a matter of like being able to find mentors like that, because like, that's all
basketball.
I did.
Yep. Gotcha.
Like, that was it.
Gotcha. So aside from you know, basketball being that main focal point, how did you start to develop you know, your goals beyond the game? Right, basketball was basketball, but then you started to think about, you know, what
Yeah,
was
like
next after.
so when I moved to New York, I ended up getting a job at Nike Town. Shout out to everybody that helped me get Nike Town. There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting a job at Nike Town, so I was hooping. Like, I was literally waking up, running 3 miles, getting dressed,
Yep.
taking the train down to Nike Town, coming back, work out again, go hoop at night and leave, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But obviously, my brother had been working for Nike at the time, so I just had the benefit of being exposed to more of the brand
Gotcha.
than most people,
Okay.
and knew that there was more than just Nike Town.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, that part of the journey was interesting, because like my brother was definitely like the mentor, but he was like, I ain't handing you nothing.
Right.
Like,
you gotta go get it yourself.
yeah,
Put the work
like
in,
my
get the
first
reps
agency
up.
job, like he gave like everyone a great recommendation. He was like, "Oh, I have another person. If you need someone extra, that person extra was me." Like,
You were the extra wild.
but it wasn't like, yeah. He was like, "If you need somebody," so like even my first agency job, it happened that they needed 2 people, and they had them. They was picking them. One of them, it was like one of those mobile tours, so you had to
Okay.
drive everywhere.
Yeah.
One dude was from New York, so true New Yorker, he ain't had no license. So they was like, well, I guess
Next
we need
up.
the extra dude.
Next up.
So like that's how I ended up like getting on and getting out of Nike Town.
Okay.
Like, the dude didn't have a license, and it opened the door. And
That's
from
what's up.
there, I was able to kind of really get a little more experience, but that opened me up into doing a little more outside of basketball.
Got you. Okay. We're going to get into that in a little bit. First, let's take a little quick 30-second timeout. This is what I like to call it. Just for us to just kind of get to quick hit questions, man. It's up to you to just answer and just kind of get to know who you are. So we'll hit the first one. What's the favorite food?
Ooh, tacos.
Tacos. There you go. Cali tacos are different from
For
Chicago and New York.
sure.
So I won't say which one I like
Cali
the best.
tacos. Let me say that. Cali tacos. 'Cause
For sure.
I'll be out here in other places, like, they make the same.
It ain't the
Cali
same.
tacos.
Yeah, I got you. All right, Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
Okay. Gummy bears or gummy worms?
Gummy bears.
All right. What's the favorite book you read or have read?
Ooh. Shoot. I'm gonna mess up the title. I think the spook that stole the shoot.
I'm drawing a blank when I know the name. We're gonna come back
That's
to
the one
that.
I'm reading right now. I don't even know why I can't think of the name right now. But yeah, dude, that first black dude that went into the FBI, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So reading that right now.
Okay, that's awesome. What's the one album or artist that you can listen to forever?
J. Cole and Wale. That's all you're gonna hear from me.
J. Cole and Wale. All right, when they on the same freshman. They came out the same time. I believe they was in the same freshman class. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna hear either one of the 2 artists.
I got you. Where's your dream vacation or dream home location?
Ooh. Dream home is LA with the views. Dream vacation, I want to go to Fiji or the Maldives.
Okay, got you. That's definitely on the list. East Coast or West Coast? Saying you spent some time on East.
Yeah, know what it is.
Yep.
West.
All right, there's a fun one. Is she 5'2" or is she 5'2"?
She fine too. I think that's a 5'2". If she 5'2", I ain't looking.
Right. That's funny. All right, who was the toughest person you ever had to play against?
Jeez. Um, he gets slept on. Um, Darren Collison, you couldn't block the
Ooh,
dude.
UCLA
Like,
bucket.
yeah, couldn't block the dude.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, I give that or OJ Mayo at the time
Okay.
when OJ was cold.
Yep. Yeah, man. Both of them, man. Both of them had G for sure. All right, last one. What was the favorite shooters you played in?
Mm. Mm, probably not going to be anyone's favorite shooter, but the KD one.
Ooh, you went with the
Yeah,
KD. Like, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say other than KD.
nobody would say it.
It was like, yeah, KD ones are the one.
Well, ain't nobody have them,
Okay.
and I feel I got a white and blue color. Like I found out it was a general release, but
Yep.
I feel like I ain't never seen nobody with them.
Nobody had them on.
And when I was playing them, everyone used to be like, "Yo, what are those?" I was like, "Yup."
Before what of those were?
Yeah, when it was a good thing.
It was a good thing, right? Love it. Love it. Okay. All right. Let's definitely dive into the second half. Like, this is the most important part of the conversation, right? And so, as you said, you kind of accidentally stepped into, the space, into marketing, into brand. So let's get into a little bit of that. Like, what, as you said, it started, where did that take you to? Obviously, with the agency work.
Yeah, I was doing agency work. So I left my Nike Town job during that time. So mobile tours, I'm on the road I did back-to-back mobile tours. So I was on the road for about 9 months straight. And during that time, my brother had moved out of New York. So he ended up getting a job in Portland. So with that, he went out there. And when the mobile tour finished, I ended up moving back to Cali. So I moved back to Cali. I was living with my parents. Mobile tour paid very well, so I felt like the richest bum because I was just at my parents' crib, like applying for jobs. And during that time, I was still actually trying to hoop, so I was still like, even though I was realizing what was going on,
Right.
that confidence, like, nah,
I know
I'm
you weren't ready to let it go like that.
I wasn't. So I was out there working with my trainer. And then I ended up getting a job at the LA Clippers themselves.
Okay.
And hated that job. But it was just beneficial for understanding like sales side of business, understanding what you don't want to do. It was like inside sales. I mean, I'm making calls, trying to sell season tickets, all that kind of stuff.
Right. For the
and
Clippers.
Still working out. Like it was during Live City, so it was cool, but it was.
Oh, so you still had Q Rich and D Miles. The knuckleheads.
I mean, it was
Lamar
a good,
Odom,
I mean,
and
there was
you
a
had a
decent
good
team.
time.
Yeah, it was a decent team, and so I mean, I was still trying to hoop and all that. Simultaneously with my brother being in Portland, I was trying to get a Nike job.
Okay.
So, like during this time, it was probably like a year and a half, 2 year span. I'm flying up to Portland.
Yep.
Like I'm emailing everybody, like, yo, I would love to meet with you, love to hop on the phone, love to talk, like trying to just network.
Yep.
And I mean, the journey, people don't respond. You ain't got the next email, they ain't responding to you. So I used to fly up there and pop up on people, like pop in their office and be like, hey, how's it going? Like, sent you an email. And they just look at me funny, but no one wanted to be disrespectful. So they like have a quick combo with me. So I was doing that back and forth. During that time, with my trainer, he was like, yo, because the deal I made with my trainer, he was like, I know I can get you a job in 3 months. So you can do all this for free. Like, I'm going to train you every day for free. Don't worry about nothing. Like, when I get you a job, then we're going to talk about like
the
compensation or whatever. Hit me back for, for all the stuff. And I'm like, cool. So he was just like, yo, like, I understand you trying to get this Nike thing done, but we trying to get something done over here. So you got to figure it out. Like, you can't miss no workout.
Right.
Like you going one way or the other. And that was like the first time where I had to make a decision.
Right.
And my thing was like, at this point, I ain't coming out of college. Like, it's a year and a half, 2 years after college. So, like, I know I can get a job, but it ain't going to be paying what I wanted to pay.
Right.
It was going to be the lower leagues, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, do I put all my eggs in a Nike bucket and try to start my career,
Yep.
or not give up on hoop? But I got a long road. Like
Right.
that league is getting further and further. And in reality, it was so much further than I thought it was. But now it's like catching up to what reality is in my head.
Yep.
And so I just made the decision. I was like, I appreciate everything you've done. Like, I'm gonna have to go with trying to, get this job. He was like, no love lost. Like, I'm still like, we good to the good to this day. I'm like, no love lost.
Yep.
But I had to go for it. So I mean, it was about a year and a half, 2 year journey.
Okay.
Just like flying back and forth, shadowing people in the LA office, like doing everything. Like it was like, yo, we got an opportunity right now. I'm driving an hour to get to them to do a Ekin presentation, like just to hold their bag and hand them shoes while they talking to people, like whatever it is, whatever y'all need. Like I'm just trying to get a job.
Absolutely. So. No, that's
down
awesome.
for it and trying to get it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it worked out after a while. I ended up getting the job on Nike's campus in customer service, actually, which is crazy.
So you were still kind of in that sales kind of
like
conversational relationship building type of role still.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was first job, but I mean, it got my foot in the door. And from there, it was up to how much I wanted it. That's how I kind of looked at it from there.
Once you finally got your foot in the door, then was that a time where you started to like goal set and start to figure out where you wanted to drive your narrative towards, or where you wanted to get to, or were you still kind of
a little bit
floating?
like so they created a new team which was like social media for consumer services.
Okay.
So we was like it was like a call center, but in social media. So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that. The dude that I was on a mobile tour with, one of my mobile tours, is actually the guy who hooked me up with the job and let me know. Shout out to Nick Johnson.
Oh, there you
go. He the one that got me in the door.
Yep.
But so we were on the social side of things, and that allowed me to work with the brand team, like the digital brand team.
Uh-huh.
And so I kind of fell into social media and digital marketing just by that. Like I had no intention, like most people, I'm trying to be on a brand team so I can get the events, and we got the budget and the spin like all that, like all the hype stuff that you see from,
of course,
what you think Nike is,
every
right?
brand.
And I kind of fell just into the digital aspect of it, and I mean, it wasn't necessarily goal setting. I was like, I just don't want to be in consumer service no more. So what I got to do,
right?
So it was still that networking, that grind of shadowing, doing whatever somebody asked of me, and trying to get over to the other side of the brand side.
For sure. Now, do you think that the learnings that you have from playing basketball played a part into the discipline and the go get mentality that you had, or was that just kind of starting to develop after?
I mean, like, I feel like as I got older and, could understand, comprehend, and get things a little more, it was kind of like all that I went through for basketball. I was like, this ain't hard. Like, like my coach making us do 20 suicides in 20 minutes was hard.
That's hard.
Having hit that, trying to hit that mile time when it's 95 degrees outside. And we got through all that. So, I mean, this ain't, this is breeze.
Yep.
Like, it wasn't a breeze. It was hard work, but like, it's just more hard work at the end of the day.
Yep.
So I think that was the big part. I think the biggest thing was just the insights of actually hooping and understanding the game helped me in my job because it gave me a bit of a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
But it also, similar to basketball, right? Like, you may have a jumper, but you don't have handles. You may have handles against the rack, but you don't have a jumper. You got to develop that other side of the game. It's the same thing from the corporate side. Like, I understood the consumer. I have to develop the strategy side of the game and truly understand that so I can be successful in my career.
Yeah. No, I think that's spot on right there. And I think that we all have that, mentality that comes in from playing the game, no matter what sport. But like you said, we just got to get reps up. You got to learn something new. You got to flex a different muscle that you never had before. And that's what I love, the to kind of connect the dots as it relates to sports and how we can apply it to our corporate careers and find a success there. No, I love that. And so obviously you grew, developed at Nike. How important was it for you to continue to build those relationships and strengthen that piece?
I mean, going back to when I went to the D League tryout, relationships is everything. Like, you don't have the right agent or you don't have the right network. It's the same thing in corporate, right? Yep. Like, being able to get your job done efficiently comes down to relationships you have internally, relationships you have externally. Like, it comes, like, you need that network, right? And you're going to have to continue to develop relationships. And I think, I just thought of a story right now, but I think, like, at the end of the day, those people you interact with is always going to come back on the other side. Right. Like, if you burn somebody, they going to get their chance to burn you.
Right.
Like, that's why I was just laughing. Someone just got burnt in my current company.
Oh, wow.
But,
wow.
But it was the same thing. They wasn't building the relationships, and they was, burning other people. Mm-hmm. And the opportunity finally came for them to get burnt, and people took that opportunity, right? Like, but if you building those relationships and, in the right way, when that opportunity come around, people are going to be like, nah, I'm not going to throw them under the bus.
Right.
I'm going to actually save them,
right.
let them know, and this, that, and the other. So those relationships become more important than anything as you continue to grow in your career.
No, that's spot on, Ned. I mean, having these relationships, that's probably the biggest part there, and having people who can advocate for you and who are authentically with you and like, listen, let's ride, let's make this thing work and figure it out from there. So then, what was next for you? Obviously, you spent the time, with the Clippers. There was some learnings there. You spent some time, doing agency work. But obviously, the ultimate goal for you was being at Nike. Then you at Nike, you got your foot in. Did you hit the goal that you wanted to get to, or how did?
I did. I hit it faster than I thought I did. Thought I would. And I mean, I think the best decision I made was to stay in the digital space. Like, when I first got into it, I don't think many people understood it. So you were able to be an expert in something, even if you weren't. People just was like, "Oh, you got the title, you're the expert. What should we do?"
Right.
And half the time I was like, "Sheesh, I don't really know." But we gonna figure it out. I'm gonna say it like I know, but I don't know. But no, I was able to grow with the company. I was there a little over 9 years. And then I recently just left. So, I mean, I thought I was a Nike lifer. But I mean, there was more opportunities out there, and I ended up taking an opportunity at 2K. So nice. NBA 2K, they have a number of titles under their belt. But so I just got over there, and now I started just doing NBA 2K. Now I'm over all the sports games.
Nice. Okay.
Doing digital social media marketing. So
nice.
Yeah.
The journey that came from struggling to get that D1 offer to where you are now, it's like,
I mean,
you get to create run the show.
I really never thought I'd be where I was from a career standpoint. Yeah. Like, especially like going to colleges I went to, like, you don't really, like, you think of, Harvard, the Ivy League, Stanford, USC, like going there and then getting these jobs that, I've been able to be blessed with. And yeah, I mean, it's a blessing just to be where I'm at and having the experiences that I've had, and, being that kid hooping growing up. I got to work on Nike basketball with, all the elite athletes, and now I'm able to do the same thing at NBA, 2K. Yeah. I think to your point of being able to be exposed to so much, like, I get to work on a golfing game, a wrestling game.
Wow.
And then like new titles that are coming on. So exposing me to so much more that I probably wouldn't have even, tapped into.
Yep. No, I love that. Like having that opportunity. So I guess now in this new role over at 2K, what's your favorite part? Like, or before I even get to your favorite part, like what's the day to day for you look like? If someone is listening to this podcast and they're like, how do I get to like what's the day to day for you look like then?
Yeah, that's one of the worst questions I feel like. 'Cause the answer is not what people not what people think. Like I'm, in meetings all day. I got emails to respond to all day. So it's a lot of busy work from that
Yep.
standpoint. But I would also say like I'm able to create the vision for the digital marketing for all these games, right? Like coming in meetings and thinking through like what are we doing for 2K23, 24, 25? What are we
Planning
doing?
out. Yeah.
Same thing from a PGA standpoint.
Yep.
How are we going to launch, the new WWE game and all of that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
day to day is, I'm at the point now, which is nice. There's pros and cons to all of it, but I
Of
don't have
course.
to do a lot of the tedious work and the tactical stuff. And I get to think about the vision and the future
Yep.
of what these games are actually going to do and
Yeah.
be, from a marketing side.
Yeah.
So I think that's the dope part.
Yep.
And it's kind of hard. When I took this role, it was a bit of a transition from being a player to a coach. So I got 3-4 teams under me.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I'm able to like build teams, and I'm more of a manager than I am of, like more of that coach than
Yep.
you are a
You're not
player,
the one that's
right?
running the offense. You're the
Yeah,
one that's
yeah.
directing and drawing it up for everybody. Yeah.
And just my personality, it sucks sometimes because like I don't like taking credit for something I ain't do, and
Right.
I don't always feel like I did it.
Uh huh.
But at the same time, it's like that's my team.
Right.
We made it
It
work.
ladders up to
I get the
you.
credit,
Yeah.
but so like always
Yeah.
trying to make sure you find the ways to give the team credit and make sure they feel valued.
There
So
you go.
a little bit of
I
that
love.
as well.
Do you think that those things there, what you said, are giving the team credit? Are those some of the intangibles that you learned from, say, your high
Yeah,
school coach, on development, and college coach?
yeah, I definitely say is definitely part of that. Like any team I have, like I try to. The best experience I had from basketball was at my JUCO. It was really like a family element. Like
Yep.
all them dudes, like I wouldn't say I talk to all of them, but it's all family. Like if I hit any of them, it's nothing. Like we right
Right.
back where we was at, right?
Yep.
So a little bit, I try to take a little bit of that on the teams that I have right now. Like if you ever worked for me, I got you. Like if you work for me, you work hard. Say less.
Yep.
Like I got people that went out Nike days that reported to me. Like they hit me right now. It's whatever you need,
Yep.
and keeping that family element and trying to continue that. So it's definitely a lot of what I learned from
Yeah.
basketball days.
No, that's spot on, man. I think there's a lot from just leadership that you've learned from the game to where you are now that you're able to apply that to, and which is incredibly important. You know what I mean? I think that carries your team and the work that they've in making them valuable with what your objectives are, and so that's important for sure. And as you said, you kind of develop that family, lifelong relationship with people, and can always just kind of rock with. So no, I love hearing that. Uh, for those that are listening to, what advice would you give them as they're, looking back? What advice would you give them as to how do you apply your learnings, your teachings to people who may be up and coming and wanting to transition maybe out of sport or, who may just be interested in the digital space?
Yeah, that's another one of those hard questions because
I try to
feel
come
like
with the
so
tough
much
ones, man. That's when
no,
we get to
I
this space.
know,
This
I
is where
know.
we at.
I mean, it's so much. It's case by case, and
Yeah.
there's every road don't work for everybody,
Hmm.
right? Like I always say, find what you're passionate about and go hard at it. Like you're gonna get those W's and passionate about something and want to make it work more
Yep.
than that next person,
Yep.
right? That network is always going to be important. If you ain't got it, knock on the door. You know what I mean? Like a million doors, like a million people ain't gonna answer it, but one person's gonna open that door for you, and that may be the person that give you that next opportunity.
Yeah.
Like I told you, I used to fly up to people's offices and just be like,
Right.
"Yo," and
I'm
wait
here.
there, wait around the corner until they walk in. They ain't never seen me. I just waiting for them to get back, and then I just walk. Hey, how you doing?
Yep.
Like, oh, funny to see you here. Like,
You
what
had
did I-
you had your
like,
elevator pitch ready, like
you know what I mean? Like
it's
ready
go
for
time.
it, right? Like definitely got shut down from a number of people, but
Yeah.
you just got to keep going. and keep that grind.
I
Like
love it.
a smart grind.
Yep.
Work smarter, not harder.
For sure. For sure. I guess here's a kind of one of those out there questions. Obviously, you being in the digital space, we're seeing so many different things. We're talking metaverse, we're talking NFTs, crypto, in the space that you're in. Obviously, 2K, like you guys are very much into that because you have, the coins. You can go in, buy your shoes, your sneakers, your jersey, your clothes, and you kind of create your own avatar essentially. In the space where I guess you're thinking, if you can, I don't want you to give too much away, but where do you kind of see it starting to head towards, as it relates to the investment that you see in the digital space?
I'll say from a company side, like we definitely looking at ways to evolve and continue to just be at the forefront of everything. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Leaving that at that.
Yep.
But I would say, the one thing I've always said, and just like my own like theory strategy around digital marketing, is social media is just like real life. Like before we had social media, it was word of mouth marketing, that network, that community. Like when you go into Chicago, whatever it is, you got to know the right people. Those are the influencers who are on social media, right? You got to get the right people to hit the rest of the community, right?
Yep.
Now you on social media, it's the same thing. Like word of mouth marketing is pretty much somebody sending a comment or sharing a post and like, yo, look at this is fire. Like, or yo, I just played in these, like check these out and sending it over, right? Like social media will forever be just like real life to me. Like, so you got to treat it a little bit the same way, right? Like nobody likes to be sold to. When you go in the car lot and you get the salesy dude, like, hey, I really want to play. You like, yo, back out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I already did my research. I want to talk to the dude that just, I don't want no pressure. Just let me have a conversation, right? That's the same thing we try to do, like, with our channels, is like just having that conversation because nobody wants to see NBA 2K is 30% off right now. Like,
right, exactly.
But you can position it in ways where it's like throw the meme where it's like, shoot, when you just found out the game was on sale tomorrow and you just bought it, right? Like, then it's like, you just informed everybody that the game's on sale tomorrow and hopefully you wasn't that dude that just bought it today, right? So there's unique ways to, it's all in the messaging, it's all in the communication, but like, the metaverse is gonna, who knows exactly where that's gonna go. NFTs are going crazy, all that kind of stuff. You just got to stay up and understand, just like I said, when social media wasn't there, so much stuff was happening in, the world, the community, the people that were, informed, everybody came to. So, that's what I try to do, stay informed, on everything that's, of the future. And, sometimes you shoot your shot and you write about where it's going to go. Sometimes you're wrong. But, read up, stay educated, be informed, all that.
I love it, man. I definitely feel like this is not going to be the last conversation that we have. I think that there's so many more learnings and keys that I definitely want to tap into. So hopefully we'll even be able to do this again in person next time. We'll definitely get an audience for us for sure, because you really have provided such good insight into understanding the journey that you've had, the learnings, but then also this new space in digital, which we know that is so important right now in the space we're in. So, Jay, I really appreciate you being on this episode of the second half. Where can, as people, as you did, where can they come and knock on your door or hit you up on LinkedIn and Instagram? Like, where can they kind of connect back with you?
Hit me on LinkedIn. I'm like, I don't post a lot. It's my job, so I always say like I post enough of my job, so I don't really post on my real life. I probably need to fix that and elevate my own brand.
Same.
But the easiest place you're gonna find me on LinkedIn. If I figure out you did it from the podcast and mention your name, I'll always respond.
There we go. Okay.
But if you're a random one, sometimes it'd be like it got so many people in there. I hope you're not trying to sell me something. That's where it goes back to real life. I'm like, I don't know. Nah, but throw Jabari's name means you always good. So
perfect, man.
Yeah.
Perfect, man. I appreciate you. Again, those tuning in, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this episode. We will be back with more content. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Second Half Podcast. Appreciate you. Thank you. We'll be back with more episodes. Peace.